New model is then basically must be ad driven.
Yeah, we're pretty much 100% advertising based. We've been fortunate to partner with some pretty exceptional companies for a young company like us, like Quicken Loans, Auction.com, Real Property Management, and others. And basically, what we do, in addition to everything I've named with the social network and the marketplace, we've also got a service providers directory on the site as well, where it's similar to an Angie's List or a Service Magic, where users can actually search real estate related service providers like escrow company, contractor, property manager by category and by location. And so it becomes extremely targeted advertising for the service provider because they're being put in front of a consumer that they know for a fact needs the service at the moment when they need it the most, so the conversion rates for them are good. And then it becomes really convenient for the investor also because you've got everything that you need before, during, and after the transaction all in one spot.
Okay, so give us, Stefan, give us some success stories for some real estate investors who've gone to your website.
Well, yeah, and actually it's kind of neat because you guys always will have a sentimental spot to me because your show was the very first show that I ever went on right before we went live with the site to talk about the site. So it kind of related to that. Shortly after I came on your show about a year and a half ago, we had a gentleman from the Philippines who actually came onto the site and he was looking to move back to the U.S. He's been in the Philippines for years. He found a condo that I actually own myself in Las Vegas, purchased the property through the website, and went on to now he's lived there for the last year and a half, very happy. And that was actually the first transaction that took place. And you guys had a little bit to do with that because I think he actually heard the show, and that's how he found out about the site.
That's pretty neat. Hey, so you've been up for a year. About how many transactions are you seeing going through listedby.com site per month?
We've had the volume increase quite a bit as we gain traction. It fluctuates. Typically we'll have anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 properties in the user base section of the site at any given time. And then we've also got our MLS syndication section where there's about 600,000 listings at any given time. So on the user base section, that's where it's all like eBay where you can submit the offers through the site. And we'll typically see around 1 to 200 offers submitted every month. And since we don't get involved in the back end of the transaction, we don't have the official statistics on how many actually close. But I can tell you that number of accepted offers is typically above 100 every month through the site. And what's pretty neat for us from a traction standpoint is we've now actually been able to grow our opt-in user base to about 250,000 users, which is predominantly real estate agents and real estate investors. So if you do have properties yourself that you want to get free exposure for to users and buyers from around the world, we're a pretty good way to do it.
And some of these properties, like in Michigan, are going, Detroit, they're going for pennies on the dollar, aren't they?
Yeah, it's pretty astonishing actually. I personally have actually bought, and I got the deeds in my office to prove it because nobody believes me, but I personally have bought 12 properties in Detroit for $1 and basically just beat away from the bank. And that's become pretty common, believe it or not, over the last few years, especially in online real estate, to see a lot of the sub $5,000 duplexes, houses in the Midwest there, Ohio, Detroit.
And your real estate taxes probably are now 12 cents.
I wish they were, actually. The taxes haven't caught up, so actually you end up a lot of times when you buy those houses, you pay more on the taxes than you do on the house. The taxes are usually still around $1,500 a year on the house.
Right, because other states aren't like California, where the taxes in California are based on the purchase price, but in other states, it's a completely different revenue model. So, like you're right, you could buy a house for $5,000 and find that your property taxes are substantially more than that.
So, give us an example. What are you doing with the property in Detroit?
I personally will always advise everybody I sold to because most of the people that buy those cheap properties in Detroit, they typically have the idea that they want to come in and do a rehab on that and rent it out like they see on TV. But the problem with those really cheap houses is they're typically going to be in really bad areas, and they're going to be in the type of places where you'd spend 30, 40 grand to make it livable, and then somebody would come in and strip everything out that you just put in. So I typically advise people not to do that. Usually the best exit strategy on something of that nature would be to sell it on a land contract, which is like our version of a lease option, but that's what they call it in Detroit, where somebody pays a small down payment, moves into the property as is, actually pays rental payments every month and does repairs themselves. And then it ends up being one of the few scenarios where it's a win-win-win for everybody involved. The first person who bought it for $1 and flipped it for 500 made a nice little profit. The second person who bought it for 500 sold it to somebody that, actually ultimately ends up buying it for around 16,000, and then that person at the end actually, gets home ownership that they might not have had otherwise.
Not bad. Okay, Stefan Toscano from Listed By. We're going to cut to our first commercial break, but as people are listening to the show, they're probably wondering, how do I get a hold of Stefan or the website? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have everybody check out listedby.com. If you come to the site again, it's entirely free for the user base. Just go to listedby.com. Check us out on LinkedIn with our LinkedIn group, which has more than 10,000 members and is one of the fastest growing groups online. Listedby.com online real estate, and see you on the site.
And that's listedby.com. Listedby.com. Okay, we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Here's the first trivia question. In what movie does announcer Bob Uecker say, "just a bit outside"? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In what movie does announcer Bob Uecker say, "just a bit outside"? 888-912-1190. That's not too bad, huh? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial, because when the Best of Investing comes back, we're going to be talking additionally to Stefan Toscano from Listed By. So stay tuned. The Best of Investing will be right back. All right. Good first segment.
What do you want to cover? Is there something specific you want to get out, Stefan, on your on Listed By?
No, I think you guys are flowing pretty good with it there.
Good.
I'm trying to think. We covered a lot there in the first one. We got through the main bits and pieces. I could probably remove my brain for something. We might talk about.
Can I ask something like, how about if I ask, where are, is there a particular state or region that is especially popular on the Listed By website?
Yeah, that'd be cool. And actually, another one that just popped into my head too. And I kind of touched on it a little bit already, but a lot of people hear it and they think it's a negative for realtors. So maybe if I talked about specifically how it benefits the agent, that'd probably be a good one.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, that's true, because you would think that you set this up to circumvent the real estate agent community, but in fact, there's a benefit. So, let's talk about that. It sounds good.
You also want to hear the, like your success stories, besides just the fact that you have the deed. Like, what have you heard of people, buying a house and flipping it, for a decent amount?
Actually, to be honest with you, when you said that, I realized I need to figure out what our more success stories are.
Okay.
It'd be great to have some anecdotal, stories of success for people who've just found it to be successful. And I know you don't manage the back end, so, but still, I would imagine that you would probably be able to at least find out who some of those guys are.
I thought about it a little bit more. There was a real sweet lady who was ill in Tennessee that had emailed me on LinkedIn that she was in desperate need to sell her house, and she was trying to sell it for a while, and asked me if we could do an email blast for her. And I did the email blast, and she actually did get an offer on the house.
Oh wow,
Okay.
that's great.
That's good. Yeah.
That.
Okay, that's okay. You can bring it up now. Okay, let me into this here. There's something else I was going to ask, but that's okay. All right. Yeah, and then I turned the stupid thing on a little bit late. So the first part of the YouTube's not going to come through, but well. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. In what movie does announcer Bob Uecker say, "just a bit outside"? Now, Stefan, do you know that answer?
I was trying to rack my brain while we were at the commercial break, but no, I don't. It seems like it's Major League.
Major League. Very good. Okay.
Broken clock strikes twice a day.
That's right. Yes, that's right. So we are in the studio on the phone with Stefan Toscano, who's the CEO of Listed By, which is a free website for listing real estate.
Yeah, it's like the eBay of real estate.
That's a good example of how it is. So, Stefan, give us a couple of success stories.
Yeah, well, one that I was just thinking about that actually had popped in my mind initially when he asked the question there. There was a woman that actually contacted me through LinkedIn. We have a real big social media presence. And she had a property that she'd been trying to sell for a really long time, and she actually was ill herself and was kind of in desperate need to get some exposure for this. So she asked me if we could include it in our weekly hot properties email blast that we do, and we actually did that for her free of charge. And luckily enough, she actually did get an offer on the property. So that's something I'm pretty grateful to be a part of. I can't take credit for it, but I'm happy that it worked out the way it did.
Well, you built the community, and the community came, and so now there's a lot of activity going on your website, which I find pretty fascinating. So I'm curious, is there a particular region in the United States that's especially popular within your group that are listed?
Yeah, well, the nice thing is since we're based right here in Napa, California, initially the site's base really grew from my own personal base as an investor. And so about 30% of our total users are in the state of California. And a significant portion of our traffic comes from right here in the Bay Area. In addition to that, we recently partnered with the largest real estate investment fund in the Dallas, Texas metro area. And so we've now got a significant number of members, I think about 70,000 members in the state of Texas as well. So that's going to be our other big spot.
So you create this website, listedby.com, to be like an eBay for real estate in order to auction off real estate. My initial guess would be, well, wow, that allows buyers and sellers to circumvent the real estate agent community. But as you were telling us off the air, that's really not necessarily the case. That there are some benefits for real estate agents. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, that is always typically the first thing that people think. And with all the sponsorships, we've done a lot of the realtor events, we've gotten that question. And obviously, as an investor myself, I did initially build it for what I wanted to see as an investor and, to have that direct connectivity between the parties. But what we found out was it actually creates a huge benefit for a real estate agent because by circumventing the middleman, now you've got the buyers coming directly to you as the list agent. And so, as opposed to sites like a Redfin or in some cases a Realtor.com, they want to route the traffic to their own buyer's agents, and then you end up splitting a commission for somebody that doesn't know anything about the property and doesn't even know the buyer. Now you've got that buyer making an offer through the website, which you can encounter, accept, or reject all through the site, and you've got the opportunity to double in the transaction and actually put more money in your pocket as well. And in addition to that, what we find is with the social network component, if you're a real estate professional and you build out your profile, you get recommendations, upload a YouTube video with some testimonials. A lot of times the people come to the site looking for properties, they see a realtor and they go, oh, this might be a person I'd like to work with, and they can actually get benefit, or get clients from the website that way directly also.
Yeah, because I know that when I've gone on your website and I've clicked on properties I might be interested in, immediately I go right to the realtor's website so I can look at all the other properties they have. And it doesn't matter to you because you're not getting a commission one way or the other.
Yeah, we really wanted to make it where it's not so much about benefiting one party, it's just about eliminating the paperwork, nonsense, hassle, where sometimes as a real estate investor myself, if I find a property I like on Redfin, which I love Redfin's functionality, but if I find a property that I like, it'll take me a few days to hunt down who the actual list agent is so I can ask a simple question. The list is I can hit a button and I can put an inquiry out there at a price point that I'm willing to pay, and it jumpstarts and eliminates that first leg of nonsense, puts me in touch with somebody who's able to accept my buying decision, and it's all about direct connectivity and speeding up the process.
Now you still have to go through title insurance. I mean, I assume that the buyer, if they're paying, let's say, $50,000 for a house, they're getting a smoking deal. They're still going to want title insurance.
Oh, sure, yeah. They would still go through the typical process after they get the offer accepted. But what this does is eliminates that first round of paperwork and hassle, and then you would go through the typical process of buying a home after that. Although we are talking with a few different, we'll call it paperless technology entities, like a DocuSign rather, that would actually integrate the initial round of paperwork into the back end of the site also. When we get to that level, then you'll be able to truly take the entire buying process online, except for obviously that final stage where you need to notarize your documents and escrow all that.
So that's an important point, Stefan. So it's not like you're actually trading real estate online. You're basically it's first and foremost an avenue to bring buyers and sellers together to negotiate and agree to a contract price, and then they can take it then to wherever state that happens to be. You would go to either an attorney or a title company to finish and complete the transaction. Is that correct?
That's perfectly right. Yeah, you hit it on the head, Mark. That's it. Really, it just jump starts the process, connects the parties together, like you said, and then they can go through the typical avenues.
And again, we are on the phone with Stefan Piscano, who's the CEO of Listed Buy, which is a free website for looking at property to either buy or sell. How many hits a day do you get?
You know, we get around readytocompete.com. We get around 90 to 100,000 visits a month, so that's at around 3,000 a day.
Are you seeing? We talked about some of the lower end properties that are popular on the auction. You know, homes for $5,000. I know that the auction process, and I know you're not technically an auction house. In fact, you're not at all, really. But you know, when you think auction, I know here in the Bay Area, oftentimes these multi-million-dollar homes, for whatever reason, they'll try to sell it via an auction. Are you seeing any high-end homes being listed on Listed Buy?
Yeah, it's a good question because, you know, a lot of times people, when they think auction, they think desperation, they think bargain basements, and there is a lot of that. I mean, the cheaper stuff is always going to do best online because there's just a bigger pool of people that can buy a $5,000 house as opposed to a $5 million house. And also, a lot of times when you're buying online, you're buying sight unseen, and so the smaller the check is you have to write, the easier it is to with that as well. But what we found on Listed Buy, which surprised even me, was that a lot of the $1 million plus homes actually have had great success on our site. And what we found an interesting statistic that one of our advertising partners, auction.com, actually gave to me is that homes in California in 2011, I believe it was, 2012, that sold at auction actually sold for 21% more per capita against the direct competitor of homes sold the traditional way. So a lot of times with the excitement and the additional exposure that comes along with the auction process, you can actually get a higher purchase price than you would otherwise.
All right, Stefan Piscano, CEO of Listed Buy. Can you give out your website again one more time? And thank you very much. And then I'm going to go into a special trivia contest that we're going to be giving away.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks again so much, guys, for having me. I'd love to see everybody come to listedbuy.com, and we'll see you then.
Great. Okay, and thank you so much, Stefan. We'll cut you off now, and we'll talk to you later, okay?
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Okay, that's very
Great
informative.
stuff.
Very informative.
Great site.
Okay, quick special trivia contest for a stay in Silverado in a beautiful condo. People in Mississippi use this less than any other state. What is it? And no, it's not a toothbrush. Okay, rules. You must email Edward by midnight tonight. No previous winners. And I will announce from the correct answers we receive next week. Here's our second commercial trivia question break. Trivia question. What movie includes the following King Arthur paraphrased quotes? You can't fight anymore. You've got no arms left. It's just a flesh wound. And run away. You remember that?
I do.
You do? Okay, then I did it okay. The first three callers with the correct answer to that question are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What movie includes the following King Arthur paraphrased quotes? You can't fight anymore. You've got no arms left. It's just a flesh wound. And run away. Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because the best of investing is going to be coming right back, and Mark Hanf has some very, very interesting news for us on his fund that's paying 8%. You won't want to miss the deals that he's getting. All right. Keep it engaged. I hate when I miss putting that on. Darn.
That's all right. We'll just get a couple of. We'll get
second, third, and fourth segment in there.
Yeah. I just wanted to, like, if Stefan goes on it, you know, he's gonna. Okay, so oh, the email we received for you was, if I invest in your new fund, do I earn 8% right away that you've been saying on the radio?
Okay.
Basically, with the
Hmm?
with the credit line getting done,
Yeah.
it's
The answer is basically yes. Very, very, very quickly. Technically no, but basically yes. Here's what I mean by that.
I like the answer yes.
Okay.
So we'll get into the fourth one.
Yeah.
Then
We'll talk about the mortgage pool fund in the next one. Next segment.
Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender. We said goodbye to Stefan Toscano, who is CEO of Listed Buy. Check out their website, sign up for them, where you can check out all the real estate that they
It's
have.
free to look at all kinds of great listings of real estate throughout the U.S.
It's called listedbuy.com. Okay, when we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Again, the theme is movie quotes. What movie includes the following King Arthur paraphrase quotes? You can't fight anymore. You've got no arms left. Oh, it's just a flesh wound. And run away.
Merely a flesh wound. That means Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That is exactly what we were looking for. Very good, Mark. Okay. Now, Mark, the interesting thing here is we're getting all kinds of emails and phone calls about your Pacific Private Money Fund because you're paying 8%. But people are wondering, how are you doing that? Give us the nuts and bolts.
Well, it's basically, I mean, this show's called The Best of Investing, and if you ask me my opinion about the best of it, what do we have that's in the realm of the best of investing? And what I want to share with the audience this segment is that we have launched our fund earlier this year, the Pacific Private Money Fund, and it's a mortgage pool fund. And what a mortgage pool fund is, it's a collection of capital that we are raising from largely Bay Area residents, and we use that money strictly to make mortgage loans in the Bay Area. So we are making loans to real estate investors. If you've heard the show before and you've listened to me talk about Pacific Private Money, we are a private money lender, also known as a hard money lender, and we specialize in making first position purchase money loans to real estate investors, mostly short-term loans to guys that are buying, fixing, and flipping real estate. And we're making what we consider to be relatively conservative loans to these real estate investors, where we don't typically lend more than 70% of the purchase price, and oftentimes less. In fact, we talked off the air about an example of a loan request we have in on a property that's it's a cash-out loan request on about a $3 million Berkeley commercial property, and the borrower owns it free and clear, and they want $600,000. Well, that's a really ridiculously low loan to value.
20% loan to
That's
value.
very well protected, and yet we're going to be able to get 10% on that loan. And why on earth would that borrower want to pay 10%? Well, because we can get them the money very quickly, and speed is the name of the game here, because they have an investment opportunity that's a couple of weeks away, and they don't want to miss it. So we've got this mortgage pool fund called the Pacific Private Money Fund, and it's paying about an 8.5% return to our investors. And the reason we can achieve that return is because most of the loans we're making are about between 9 and 10% to real estate investors. We also kick in 50% of the origination points that we collect from the borrower, which is another way to boost the fund. And the fund pays a preferred return to all of the shareholders at 7%. And then there's a 50-50 split of the profits that are left after paying the preferred return to the investors and the fund expenses and the management fee. calculate that to be about an additional 1.5% for a total return, 7% preferred, 1.5% share of the profits, projected profits. So approximately 8.5% on an annualized basis return on your investment. It's a no-load investment. So if you invest $100,000, all of that $100,000 goes to work right away. And when you make a redemption request, we ask that you keep the money in there for a 2-year period. So it's not long-term, it's not too short. So a 2-year redemption request period. After 2 years, you can request the redemption of your investment, and there's no charge, no load, no fees. All of your money is working for you. And again, the reason we can pay that out is because we are making relatively short-term loans, and those loans are in high demand today. Banks aren't making loans to real estate investors, so we get, you would not believe the quality of the loan requests we get. Now, those of you out there who are listening and you're thinking, okay, they're a hard money lender, and you may remember hard money from 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. It was mostly seconds, hard money 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and it was mostly to distressed borrowers.
And
Why?
the loan to value was pretty high.
And the loan to value was generally pretty high. Why is that? Well, because 10 years ago, the banks were making loans to anybody, right? If you could fog a mirror, you could borrow money from a bank. You could borrow a first, you could borrow a second, home equity lines. Banks were throwing money at the public. That's how they were. That's how we got into the trouble we got into. Well, it's 2013, 5 years beyond the mortgage meltdown. We're about to hit our 5th anniversary of when the whole subprime meltdown happened. And in those ensuing 5 years, the private money lending industry has actually flourished into a new type of lending industry that looks remarkably unlike what it did 10 years ago. What I mean by that is we're not making seconds. We're not making loans to distressed borrowers. We're not making consumer home loans. We are serving that niche of borrower that is generally a real estate investor who's either buying real estate or pulling cash out of existing real estate. And they're willing to pay oftentimes 10% for that money because they're able to make more money with that money. So this is there are safety and security features in today's mortgage pool fund that might surprise you. These are title insurance, there's hazard insurance, there's appraisals done, there's background checks, credit reports.
Okay, so you're doing all the same things
all
that the bank.
same things that the banks do when we make a loan. We're not just making loans willy-nilly. We are fast, granted, but we charge for that speed. But we're not bogged down in the minutia of paperwork like a bank is.
No, but you're still doing all your due diligence.
But we're still doing all our due diligence. Well, again, we're a Bay Area company making Bay Area loans to Bay Area real estate investors. So I don't have to hedge for the fact that I don't know where this property is, or I don't know the market if I were lending in another state. I'm not lending in other states. I'm lending in Northern California, more specifically the Bay Area, and I know the Bay Area real estate markets very, very well, and therefore we don't have to go out on a limb and collect or look for reasons to say no. We know, the various market neighborhoods of, say, Oakland or the East Bay or San Francisco or even Sonoma County or Marin County. There are neighborhoods we like and neighborhoods we don't like. Here's our guest.
No, that is not our guest.
So anyway, so the Pacific Private Money Fund is an opportunity that is been very popular with our clients. Even the ones that have been funding individual notes have written checks into our mortgage pool fund because their money goes to work right away. And one of the things about investing, those who are familiar out there with individual trust deed investing, which some people prefer to invest in individual notes and not a mortgage pool fund. The problem with that is that trust deed investing has become so popular that oftentimes the best loans go very, very quickly, and sometimes my investors fight over those individual loans. Well, a mortgage pool fund is designed to basically provide a venue and an avenue for people to invest in an instrument that allows them to capture those same loans because we put the best loans in the fund.
Well, here's another thing is that for the sophisticated investors out there, I have looked at hundreds, literally hundreds over the years of mortgage pool fund memorandums, private placements. And in fact, I kind of helped Mark a little bit with this and made little minor suggestions on certain things.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to see, I wanted a situation where investors would look at this private placement and have very little to argue with. Because there are a lot of ones out there where there's a minimum of 5 years, there's all kinds of prepayment penalties, they're doing riskier loans, there's just all these various things. They're charging the points, they're keeping the points. But you're not doing that, you're sharing a lot. So you're not being greedy, that's the major thing.
Yeah, the company that helped us design and write this fund, and the attorney that we used for this fund was their advice from the onset was to make sure that you have the proper alignment of interests between the shareholder, that would be you, the investors out there putting your money in, and the manager, the management company, and that's us, Pacific Private Money. And how we created that alignment was we do share the points in the fund, and we provide loan servicing at no additional charge to the fund, and we keep the fund expenses down. We do quarterly distributions instead of monthly distributions. So in other words, we've designed a very, very cost-efficient fund, and what's good for the manager is good for the fund in this case. So it's really designed to succeed, and we have a promise to our investors that the fund always gets first look at the best loans that come into our office.
Okay, and a little side note here, I personally invested some of my IRA money with Mark in the fund. And another thing is that there was a very well-known real estate attorney who has actually invested $100,000. And if there's anybody who could analyze a mortgage fund document, it would be him. So if he felt comfortable enough to invest $100,000, it must be good. Okay, thank you very much for Mark. We're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. Here's the trivia question: in what movie does Leslie Nielsen say, "Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue"? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In what movie does Leslie Nielsen say, "Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue"? Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial, because the best of investing will be coming right back with some closing comments. Hello.